Hey, lovely ladies. So today I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about my story. And for those of you who've been in my challenge groups before, or those of you who know me personally, outside of Beachbody challenge groups, um, you may know parts of my story. You may know parts that I don't share today, but just know that I love sharing my story. So if there's anything that I say and you're like, oh, I want to know more about that, please ask me. I love it. Sorry there's kind of a glare on my glasses. Hopefully that doesn't bother anybody. It's from my computer though, so oh well. Um, I guess there are a lot of parts to my story, but I'm gonna focus today on how the Lord really shaped my view of healthy living and how He's grown me to see the benefit and see the good in living a healthy lifestyle and exercising and eating well. So I wasn't always like that. I mean, my parents are very active and we were always playing sports, my sisters and I. And so activity was always something I did, but I ate a lot because I didn't really have to worry about it. I worked it off, and it's just what I did. And then I went off to college, and as a lot of you know, that changes everything. So I got to college, and I was okay at first playing intramurals, and I played intramurals throughout, but um, classes got stressful, and life gets stressful, um, and I think I did this before, but I really noticed it in college. I started to binge eat, so I would, it's not that I wouldn't keep myself from eating throughout the day, so I never starved myself, but I would always, always, always eat too much. And so if I had a brownie, I would eat 7 of them and not 1 or 2. So my portions were just out of control, and this went on for years. And really, I mean, I really still struggle with it now. But I use the 21 Day Fix little containers most days, and that really helps me. And I kind of know now what those portions are if I'm out to eat or stuff like that. But you guys will get used to those and start using those, and it'll become easier for you. I know it did for me. So in college, just really unhealthy as far as my eating habits were, and um, I say that I didn't eat really bad things. Like I wasn't eating junk food all the time. I mean, I was eating kind of junky food, and the food in the cafeteria was not great. So all of a sudden, um, early my junior year, I started getting really, really sick. Just stomach pains, like bad poops, sorry. Um, like a lot of intestinal distress, just out of nowhere. And I had been praying for the Lord to take away this urge to just eat. Like, I knew I wasn't hungry, and I knew I didn't need anything else to eat, and I would just eat anyway, or just pile it in for whatever reason. And I knew part of that was my tendency to try to do it myself and not rely on Him. But I knew there was this underlying thing that caused me to not be able to exercise self-control that I knew that I had or knew that I could have. I don't know, it just didn't make sense to me. And so I had been praying, and then all of a sudden I got sick. And I was sick for months trying to figure out what was wrong. I got a colonoscopy and an endoscopy at age 21, the same year my dad did when he was 50. That's exciting. And so, like, all of those things combined, all they told me was, oh, you have irritable bowel syndrome, IBS. And I go, great. That doesn't tell me what I can or can't eat or how to live to make myself feel good, because I felt terrible. I had zero energy, migraines all the time, and intestinal issues as well. So I just was miserable, and I was like, okay, we have to do something. Like, I have to choose to figure out and be really intentional about what I'm putting inside, because obviously it's not working. And so that really started the process for me to like figure out certain things that I could and couldn't eat, so I have a lot of restrictions as far as what I eat, based on how my body reacts to them. So like dairy and gluten are for sure a no-go. Pizza's like the ultimate death food. um, and a couple other things now, that throughout these past 2 years that I've figured out that I just don't do well with. And I love learning about nutrition too, and helping other people figure out what's best for their body, because it probably looks different than what it does for me. So all that to say, since that point, since getting sick, there was a moment where the Lord, I don't know, it all just kind of clicked, and the Lord said, Emily, that was my answer to your prayer, to take away that desire to eat, to take away the bondage I felt to just want food all the time. I hated that. I hated being bound by that. And I still love food. I still love cooking, and I love eating, just because food is delicious. That's how the Lord made it. But I hated being bound by it. I hated knowing that I couldn't resist the brownie or the cookie, even though it would hurt my stomach or whatever. So that's kind of part of my story. But as far as getting into Beachbody, I had a really good friend in college who was my coach, and still is my coach. And I did a challenge group with her, and I used the 21-day fix containers. I did the 21-day fix for 21 days, and I was pumped. I felt so good. I was eating good food, not eating too much, and I was exercising. My sleep still wasn't great, because sleep is important, but still those 4 things just like blew my mind. And so since then, there have been a lot of ups and downs. You can ask my husband or my family. But now I see food, or I see exercise, or really anything I do as a choice to be healthier or to be less healthy. And I know that seems really extreme, but the choices you make aren't neutral. They impact something. And so if I see French fries, which I ate this past weekend when we were home in Chicago before we started our group, I was like, oh, Portillo's. But now I'll see them and say, no, like I don't need them, because I know they'll hurt my stomach. I know it's a less healthy choice. If I see an apple, I'll be like, yes, or even a sweet potato. Sweet potato is good, and you can make sweet potato fries yourself. So anyways, that is part of my story, and there's a lot more to it, like I said, but this is too long anyway. So I just want you to know that it is possible. It is possible to not be bound by food, or bound by the way you look at yourself. Through all those years, I was never okay with the way I looked. And I'm still improving now, but I love how good my body feels because I'm treating it well. And it's a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing to learn. It took me like 2.5 years so far, and we're still counting. So don't be discouraged, because it's so worth it. And it's really good. It's really rich when you figure out, and it just clicks for you, that this is so beneficial, and that that it's something you want to do. So yeah, if you have any questions, just holler or comment below, and maybe share a little bit of your story as well in the comments. You guys are awesome. See you tomorrow. Bye.